You know what? I am pleasantly surprised. K-Dogs Movie Review. Speak No Evil is directed by James Watkins and stars James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, Scoop McNairy, and Aisling Finchosi. A family is invited to spend a whole weekend in a lonely home in the countryside. But as the weekend progresses, they realize that a dark side lies within the family who invited them. All right, a new thriller out. I was pretty excited to see this. Apparently, this is a remake of a Danish film, I believe, that was made about 2 years ago, but I never saw it, so this was a whole new premise to me, starring James McAvoy, who has proven to be a really good actor. He's really good at elevating whatever material he's in, whether bad or good. The trailers for this got a little annoying because they played literally during every single movie I saw ever for the past 6 months. Nonetheless, I was still excited. So I sat my ass down in the theater, and I gotta say, it's pretty good. Pretty, pretty good. As I said, James McAvoy has the ability to really enhance whatever story he's in. And in this movie, he absolutely knocks it out of the park. He puts on a fantastic performance as this very charismatic but kind of off guy. I mean, at times he can go from so charming to so sinister and scary. It's really great. Every scene that he's in, he chews it up and steals. And he's in this for a majority. Like 85% of the movie is him. Puts on a great performance as this kind of off putting guy. I just love when you can watch an actor that's been in movies where they're kind of the protagonist or, a good guy. It's great to watch them in something like this be completely different and be sinister. It's scary, but it's fun to watch, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to take anything away from the other performances because they are all around great. The actor who plays his wife, his child, the other family that goes to stay with them, and they all do a great job of playing these on the surface kind of fun loving get together kind of friends that meet at this resort when underneath they got a lot going on, and there's really more to their characters that can sometimes be, for lack of a better word, disturbing. The subtle stares, or non stares, I should call them, into other characters' eyes, the tiny facial expressions, the physicality of everyone's performance. Everyone is doing such a great job in this movie. You could tell they put a lot of effort into this. Even though we go through a few different locations, this movie still feels very intimate, especially when the family starts staying with, I'll just call them the McAvoys. It's a farmhouse, but it feels very intimate. And all the scenes feel very claustrophobic at times. And the actors do a great job together. Even characters who seemingly aren't getting along, they have great chemistry. Both couples in this movie, I feel it. I feel, even though there may not be the best relationships, I can feel their chemistry and they work really well off of one another. The children also do a great job in this as well, especially the little boy who plays McAvoy's son. If you've seen the trailer, like everyone else, a bunch of times, you know that he can't speak in the movie, and he puts on still a great physical performance. And these actors are putting on these really realistic performances to transform us into these almost realistic feeling scenarios where you're faced with another couple or an individual that on the surface seems like a pretty cool person, but they say just something or do something that's just a little bit off. Not enough to completely deter you away from them, but just enough to keep it on your mind. What this movie does a great job of doing is constantly putting you in those scenarios. McAvoy is so good at being charismatic and charming, but then he'll do something that's just a little off. And it keeps building and building and building until ultimately we get to the third act. Again, no spoilers. I'll save that for the spoiler section. Slowly ramping up those unsettling scenarios, which again, alone may not seem like much, but when compounded, kind of really make you question why these people are still there. As I said in the intro, the family that we're following, they meet the McAvoys at this Italian resort and ultimately decide to stay with them for a long weekend. I don't know if this is technically labeled as a horror, but what's pretty fun about this thriller is that you can kind of put yourself into a lot of these situations that the couple that we're following get placed into. You say to yourself, okay, if James McAvoy did this kind of creepy, off putting thing to me, would I leave immediately or would I stick around? He's being so nice here and doing all these good things, but then he does this one other thing. Is it just me? Should I stick around? And so you're constantly asking yourself that throughout the whole runtime of this, which is another positive. This does not overstay its welcome. I think it's about an hour and 40 minutes long. The pacing here is really good. There was no point in the movie where I really felt a lull. You're constantly put in these kind of awkward or tense situations, and then we're immediately off to another one. And you learn things about certain characters over time. And then finally, we get to the third act where shit blows up. It's a thriller. That's not a spoiler. I saw some criticisms about the family that we're following, calling them absolutely idiotic from the very beginning. Why would you ever do that? How could you ever do that? How could you be so stupid? Oh my God, you're so lame. Do something in this scenario. I didn't really feel that. There are certain things where I would have said, nope, I'm out of here. I'm done. Or I'm not letting that happen, which I'll get to in spoilers. But overall, I found the interactions between all of the characters maybe not realistic, but believable given the circumstances. You learn certain things about certain characters later on in the movie, and you get to understand why they are the way that they are and why they are behaving the way that they are behaving. And so I could see from the beginning, if I didn't watch the whole movie, how certain character motivations and interactions can seem off. But once you learn more and more about things, you understand it, just like a regular movie. I thought most of the decisions of all of our main characters in this movie were, given who they are and who they're presented as, justified. And I enjoyed that. It made it for an easy watching experience. As with pretty much any horror movie or thriller, you're going to have moments where you yell at the screen, "Why are you doing that?" But I rarely found myself doing that here. There were a couple instances, which again, I'll get into in spoilers, but I believed our characters, and so it made for an easy watch. I can't say I necessarily liked them as people, but it was still fun to watch. And what made this movie fun was that it felt very watchable with an audience. There are comedic moments in this movie where everyone was laughing in my audience. There are really tense moments where everyone was quiet, moments where people are cheering, moments where everyone goes, ooh, ooh, and cringe into their seat. It was really a fun experience to watch this. It's pretty rare that I get those experiences in a movie theater, especially post-COVID, but I had a great time just watching all of these awkward, funny, tense moments unfold. My only real criticism for this movie, and it's not even that big, is that the third act, while fun and exciting, it doesn't really do anything, crazy unique. I found myself enjoying the earlier scenes where both families are still getting to know one another, doing an activity together where something awkward happens, something that just seems off, those tension building moments. It's certainly all justified once we hit the third act, but the third act just felt like, okay, we've made it here, let's do the generic, thriller stuff. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I think if I had to pick one thing, that would be it. But overall, I definitely recommend this movie. I had a great time. It was great watching this in a packed theater. Everyone seemed heavily invested in the story, and James McAvoy puts on a great performance. Spoiler section, you've been warned. All right, so basically it turns out that James McAvoy has some daddy and mommy issues. He had horrible parents, and as a result, 17 years ago, he says, when he met his wife, Kira, he basically abducted her and had her raise him, and then became her husband. And after that, they tried to create the perfect family. And they do that by getting to know another couple with a child and abducting that child. Over time, they abducted more and more children. It's implied that when they decide they want a new child, they kill off that current child, take the new child, and kill the new child's parents. And it's revealed that they've done this several times over the years. And so the boy who can't talk, their son, is not really their son. It's just another kid that they've captured, and they've killed that kid's parents. So this story is about how the McAvoys want the family that we're following, the daughter of that family, and they want to boot out the son that they currently have that can't talk. James McAvoy is frequently grabbing him aggressively, telling him he sucks in subtle ways, just doing a lot of terrible father things. And so with the spoiler section, I didn't want to go over the entire movie, but I just wanted to say a few things. First, I wanted to address the dad in the movie. I've seen a lot of reviews say that the dad is just sort of a nobody and ends up sort of just being a loser who doesn't ever step up to the plate. I didn't really get that from this movie. I mean, from the beginning, you see that he's sort of bored with his current vacation. He's watching James McAvoy and his family drink beer together and go on the moped together and jump in the pool and do fun things together. And he seems jealous of that life. And that is what propels him to want to join them for the weekend and join them in these kind of bizarre activities that his wife doesn't always agree with. And so towards the beginning, you think that he's just someone who's bored and who's out of it, and maybe not the strongest character. But later on, it's revealed that his wife was caught sexting a coworker. And so there's this rift between him and the wife, and it explains why when he really wants to go do something with James McAvoy's family and have them all join, she's reluctant, but she ultimately decides to do it. She feels all of that guilt from the pre-cheating that she did. And so I found their chemistry as actors really good. I really felt the underlying anger and sadness that they shared together as a family. It felt kind of realistic given the circumstances. I mean, she mentions how she gave up her job and moved across the world for him when ultimately he ended up losing that job and became a miserable person, which led to her sexting other people. And so while you don't necessarily agree with everything that they're doing, you kind of understand the motivation behind it. You understand the motivations behind her feeling guilty and him wanting to live life a little. And I thought that was nice to see in a thriller like this. It'd be easy to have this picture perfect family that we're following, where the wife and husband absolutely love each other, they're best friends, and they have nothing going wrong at all whatsoever. But this movie doesn't do that. It gives them real problems and real issues, which lead to certain emotions that influence their decisions. And I thought that was great to see in a thriller that I didn't really expect much from. Having said that, there are a couple things I wanted to point out in the spoiler section that I did not agree with. Firstly, the first thing, the McAvoys meet the family that we're following. McAvoy is riding around on a moped, and the daughter wants to join. And so McAvoy says, "Hey, can I take your daughter for a ride around?" And they notice that he does not have a helmet. And McAvoy's like, "It's fine. I'll be safe." And the parents just let her go on without a helmet with a stranger. No, as charming as James McAvoy is, I'm wearing a fucking helmet. And I'm certainly not letting my daughter ride with him without a helmet. I'm going in order here. The next decision that I did not agree with was when the mother that we're following wakes up in the middle of the night to check up on her daughter and find out that she's sleeping in bed with the McAvoys. James McAvoy specifically is only in his underwear. So, being the smart parent that she is, she says, "Nope, a boundary has been crossed," and they all secretly leave. They're driving away. They got out without being noticed. They've opened the gate. They're driving away. Thriller movie is over. But then the doll That fucking doll. The little girl has a doll that she loves to hold constantly, and she gets anxiety attacks without it. She forgot it in the McAvoy residence. So, as they're driving away, they decide to turn around and go back into the McAvoy residence and get the doll. Listen, I know it's going to be a tough battle with the child to tell her that the doll is gone, but I would never have gone back in that fucking house for that doll. Now, at this point, we don't think they're murderers or anything. We just think they're very creepy and awkward. But even that, I would feel so awkward trying to sneak back into someone's house that I just snuck out of just to get the doll. I would hate to come face to face with the McAvoys when they realize that I tried to sneak out. And ultimately, that's what ends up happening. I never would have gone back for that fucking doll. Fuck that doll. It's just a plot device to get our characters back into the house. If it was like something medically necessary, like an inhaler or I don't know, certain pills that they need every hour or something to survive, then I could see them going back for that. Even their wallet. If they left their wallet behind, go back for that. But the doll, come on, she's 12. Get over it. So the next bad decision that I don't agree with that happened immediately after that. They go back in, the McAvoys are awake. They tell the McAvoys that they crossed the boundary by sleeping with their daughter and they just want to leave. The McAvoys lie to them saying that they used to have a daughter and that she died, and were feeling very protective and a lot of love and blah, 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 grief. The family then decides, okay, we're good now. We'll stay. We just feel like staying now. What? All your stuff is in the car. You've already decided to leave based on how creepy they were. Okay, they gave you an explanation for their creepiness, but it was still creepy, so just leave. I didn't agree with that. Their stuff is already packed. Their car was literally still running. Just leave. I don't know why they didn't leave. The final decision that I did not agree with was when everything's been revealed. Family has realized that the McAvoys are strange kidnap murderers. Understandably so, they decide to leave. As they're leaving, James McAvoy points to the top of the house and says, "Oh, hey, look, little girl. You left your doll on the roof." Okay, well, we're already super obsessed with this doll. We might as well get it. So James McAvoy puts a gigantic ladder against the side of the house. This is after, by the way, we already know they're weird child abductor murderer people. James McAvoy puts a ladder beside the house and has the dad climb it, and he willingly goes and climbs it to get the doll. Fuck no. That is so fucking tall. Even if I super trusted James McAvoy, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just get a big stick or something. I'm not climbing that. That looks horribly dangerous. But no, he's a weird murderer abductor guy. Why would you trust him holding the ladder while you go all the way up there? Ultimately, it's just a scene for tension and nothing comes of it. The dad survives. But why would you go up that ladder? Ever. Have the wife hold it if you really wanted to get up there. But come on. Anyway, those were the few decisions that I didn't agree with. The other decisions throughout the movie, I was fine with, given the character backstories and motivations. The final thing I just wanted to say was that I enjoyed that the little boy got his revenge on James McAvoy. James McAvoy was a shit to that little boy throughout the whole movie, and he killed his parents and abducted him for whoever knows how long. I think in a lot of other thrillers, the dad or the mom would have done it, but it was nice to see, even though it's fucking traumatic and that kid is going to live with some serious issues for the rest of his life, it was still satisfying to see him be the one that got the final kill on James McAvoy. Please let me know what you guys thought of this movie in the comments below. Have you seen the original? Did you prefer it to this one? Did you agree with all of the decisions that the family made in this thriller? Which decisions bothered you the most? Till next time.